Welcome to Monday Motivation. Choosing happiness by coming back to yourself. So when we hear the phrase, choose happiness, it can feel dismissive, even unrealistic, especially at this time of year. Perhaps you've heard it called holiday blues. I know I have felt a little bit of that this week. The holidays can bring mixed emotions. Maybe you had a beautiful time with family and friends, meaningful moments, lots of food, full tables, lots of great conversation, warm memories. And yet, here you are feeling a little ho hum, a quiet emotional drop that you didn't expect. Or maybe the holidays just didn't meet your expectations at all. Maybe you've had loss or tension in your house, loneliness, or reminders of things from the past get dug up all the time during the holidays. And now there's this sadness lingering that feels hard to explain. Both of these experiences are more common than we admit. When someone says, just choose happiness, it can feel like a pressure cooker instead of comfort. Today, I want to name what many women are quietly feeling. Choosing happiness does not mean denying disappointment or grief. It does not mean that you're pretending either. You're not pretending everything is fine. It means reconnecting with yourself in the middle of whatever else is going on. The reconnection is where the healing begins. If we haven't met before, my name is Terri Sterk. I am a wellness coach and author, and I serve women like you and like me. Those who have experienced challenging seasons, whether that's illness, trauma of other sorts, loss, abandonment. There's all sorts of trauma that happens to us as women. And the hard thing is when more than one of those happen in our lifetimes, which is very common for most of us. When we have those challenging seasons, that's what I'm here to do, is help you nurture wellness of body, mind, and spirit. Because we are complex creatures, and nurturing wellness of all parts of us, physical, mental, and spiritual, is important in order to move on. So why does happiness feel so complicated? Well, along with holiday blues, seasonal affective disorder, we'll call it SAD, the acronym, is a real issue during the winter months. Seasonal affective disorder can intensify feelings of sadness because it directly affects the brain systems that regulate mood, energy, emotional resilience. First of all, it's because of reduced daylight. That disrupts our mood chemistry. Shorter days and low light interfere with serotonin development in our bodies. When serotonin levels drop, sadness, irritability, emotional heaviness, and negativity become more pronounced. Well, on top of that, melatonin shifts energy and motivation. And melatonin helps us fall asleep. So when there's darkness or less sunlight, It increases the melatonin production, which can leave us feeling sluggish or foggy, unmotivated during the daytime. When energy is low, sadness often feels heavier, more difficult to shake. Circadian rhythm disruption is another reason for this sadness we might feel in the winter. The good news is that the days are beginning to get longer. I'm noticing my normal time has been dark when I start this live, but today it's lighter out, and that's a positive. So we can feel good that our internal clocks will start to align better to those light cues. When the rhythm is off, sleep can become irregular, and it further impacts our mood, our impatience, and again, emotional regulation is complicated during those times. Also, we need to think about emotional vulnerability because that increases with this time of year, and that affective disorder doesn't just cause sadness, it lowers our capacity to cope when bad things happen. Things you typically manage may feel more overwhelming. And then when bad things happen, we're not even sure how to handle it. Feelings of grief, disappointment, or loneliness can surface more easily, especially after an emotionally charged season like the holidays. So just be aware. Be aware of that seasonal affective disorder. And maybe it will help you understand why you're feeling physically the way you are. It can feel personal, but it's not. It's not a mindset. It's not lack of gratitude. It's physiological. It's a part of our biological response to environmental changes, like especially light and cold during these winter months. And understanding that helps remove the shame we might be feeling during the holiday time. Seasonal attention disorder can make sadness feel deeper, longer lasting, and more persistent. That doesn't mean you're stuck. It just means your system needs more light and rhythm. You need rest and you need compassion. Many women like us have learned to disconnect from ourselves in order to survive. It helps us get through those emotions we might feel during difficult times. We learn to push through, stay strong, and put others first. Research in trauma psychology shows that prolonged stress and adversity often lead to emotional suppression and disconnection from bodily cues like the ones we've discussed in this call. Adversity often leads to emotional suppression and disconnection. So when someone says, "Oh, just be happy. What have you got to be sad about?" It can feel like pressure instead of permission. Maybe we don't have a reason to be sad, but we still feel sad. Seasonal attention disorder could be one of the reasons. We also could be dealing with a lot of other things. So happiness cannot grow where we feel self-abandonment, where we just lowered our expectations, where we've disconnected from life. So redefining happiness can help us regain some of those good feelings, those positive feelings. Positive psychology research reminds us that happiness is not a constant joy. It comes and goes as as we move through our days. It is not the absence of struggle. Happiness is an alignment that we can experience as we experience new things in our lives. It's when your inner values and your outer life begin to match. You're happy about the things that you expected when they happen. You're unhappy when they don't happen. Studies on well-being show that meaning, self-acceptance, and emotional regulation contribute more to our lasting happiness than pleasure alone. Sometimes happiness looks like peace instead of excitement. Sometimes it feels like rest rather than productivity. Sometimes it seems like boundaries instead of approval of everyone being in our lives. Happiness looks different ways to different people. So what does reconnection really look like? And when I talk about reconnection, I'm talking about reconnecting to ourselves, reconnecting to our souls and our hearts. Reconnecting with yourself it's not dramatic. It's a practical thing. Mindfulness shows us that regularly checking in with our bodily sensations, our emotions, and our needs, that helps us regulate the nervous system and then reduce anxiety and emotional overwhelm. Reconnection might be like asking yourself these questions. What am I feeling right now? So just checking in with yourself and asking yourself, what are you feeling? Or what do I need today? What is draining my energy? What have I been ignoring that I should be paying attention to? These questions help cultivate your own self-trust, and it creates a foundation so that you can have emotional resilience. It makes you aware when you're just checking in with yourself. I'll put those 4 questions below this video because they're good to think about each day. So choosing happiness in real life is often quiet. It isn't something you just do automatically. It just happens by leading a life where you're using coping skills and thinking about your own needs and nourishment. It's not about just numbing your feelings so that you don't feel negative or bad. It's not about distraction. It's about being present in your life. It's not about isolating yourself. It's about being around community. And it's about being truthful about how you feel. Self-determination theory shows us that autonomy, competence, and connection are essential to our own well-being. When you honor your limits and values, happiness becomes a byproduct, not a pursuit. And that's what I mean. It's a quiet change because you're doing a lot of these things automatically. This is wisdom that you earn through experience. And some of us have figured that out when we go through these negative situations or challenging situations. If happiness feels like it's far away, that doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're reconnecting to your own feelings. You're coming back to yourself. It's okay to have negative emotions. to feel angry or disappointed. It is okay. You can also choose happiness during those times. And you do that by realizing this is how I feel now, but I'll get through this and I'll feel better again. So start with one gentle check-in each day. There's no fixing, there's no judgment. It's just listening to yourself. Choosing happiness is not about chasing away negative feelings. It's about returning to yourself instead of isolating yourself, instead of disconnecting from yourself so that you won't feel. As you listen to this today, I want you to know that this conversation is part of a larger body of work that I've, as you know, I'm an author, and I wrote a book called Nurture Emotional Wellbeing for Women. I have a copy of it here. So if this message resonates you can go deeper in the book. It gives you guidance and practical support so that you can nurture your own emotional well-being. In the book, you'll be able to explore how to tend to your own emotional health with compassion and clarity and steadiness, especially during seasons that feel heavy or uncertain. And if you're longing for connection, not just information, I invite you to join my Women Wellness Seekers community. It's a space for women who want to grow and heal and move forward together at a realistic pace with encouragement and support. Joining the group is free during the month of January. I'll leave the links for both of these opportunities at the end of this video. You don't have to do this alone, and you don't have to rush your healing. That choice changes everything. I'm cheering you on today. Have a wonderful, wonderful new year. I'll start again there.